Hi guys, and welcome back to the first videos in a series called Is It Me? Is It You? How to know who is the toxic one in your relationship. So today, the topic we will be approaching is the topic of control. So I went to do a little bit of research about controlling behavior, and the few things that came up, or actually it was quite a few things that came up, but the things that stood out to me was to keep somebody manageable and to keep them small. So can you imagine, we have an individual, the controller, who doesn't feel good about themselves. They don't really have high self-esteem. And in order for them to feel better about themselves, they use that to dominate, manipulate, and make another person feel small. This is also that the person who they are controlling doesn't realize who they are, the potential that they have, and to maximize that potential to their full capacity. This is because another individual is trying to intimidate you, bully you, confine you, to make you feel that everything that you have inside of you isn't worth much, isn't worth developing, isn't worth putting out, also that they can feel great about themselves. I remember being in my friend's home, and she was cooking dinner. And I remember raising with her at the time a story about what myself and the person that I was with at the time was going through. And I remember as I was retelling the story to her, I remember her being very quiet and just stirring and just not really saying too much. And just to give some context into the situation, I had been with this person for quite a while, but I had really never told her some of the things that were going on in my relationship. So please keep a lookout for the key points, the key takeaway points at the end, because that is a bad sign. You should always be able to tell people what you're going through and be able to allow people in, people that you trust, mind you, so they can shed light on the situation. So I didn't really tell her anything beforehand. So this was probably one of the first times that she was listening to me tell her, like, this is the ins and outs, or this is actually a picture of what's going on. So as I was telling her the situation, and to be honest, I was just telling her so that she can just be like, all right, Keela, you're wrong, or Keela, you're right. So I just wanted some kind of guidance in how to go about the situation, how to resolve it. So I was telling her and she was stirring, and she said to me, Keela, the person in question, the person that I was with, is exhibiting controlling behavior. That's controlling. And I remember feeling taken aback because I had never seen that person's behavior as controlling. I just thought, oh, okay, they are just like this, it's just how they are. But she was just like, no, this isn't normal, this is controlling behavior. And I had to go back, think about it, sit on it and be like, okay, this is how the person approached me, this is how I approached it, and really assess that actually, wow, I can hear and I can see where this person is coming from when it comes to controlling behavior. Plus, I trust this person's opinion. I trust that they love me and they want the best for me, and I trust that they can see clearly what's happening here. My first takeaway point would be speak to someone. So just in the case of me, and I had a friend that was able to tell me what they saw clearly. Sometimes it takes for somebody else to spot things that you may not necessarily see with your own eyes, and that's because you're so full of emotion, and even in that situation, the emotion in that situation by itself is enough to blind you and make you feel like, okay, this may be okay, maybe normal behavior. Especially if this behavior has been going on for a period of time, you become quite numb to it. You become less and less resistant to this type of behavior, especially if you allow it to continue. So speak to someone, get somebody's opinion, tell them the story, someone you trust. That is the key word though, somebody you trust, that you trust their opinion and you trust that they have your best interest at heart and they have the right intentions. And when you hear them, listen to what they have to say, because sometimes it just takes for somebody to see it from the outside for you to just get clarity in that moment and realize, actually, this isn't the right place for me to be in. The second takeaway point would be look for signs. This comes after speaking to someone, reading up about things to look for in controlling behavior. And once you spot the signs, sometimes you can see one or two, but when you start seeing the signs rack up, okay, this person, they don't want me to speak to certain people, they believe that the way they do things is the best way, it's always through them I have to do things and not through anyone else. Start taking note of what you see, write them down, and if they start totting up, the last point that I'm going to say is leave. I know it could be hard. You're emotionally invested in a relationship. Sometimes you've put in years into something, but it's better to have a failed relationship than a failed marriage. And sometimes you just have to cut your losses and leave, because things do not get better in marriage when you've seen these types of signs outside of marriage. So when you see them, be willing to walk away and say, you know what, I'm worth way more than this. And if you are the person that may be exhibiting signs of controlling behavior, these are the things I suggest you do. Firstly, look at yourself. Find out the root of the matter, the root cause. There's always a root to something. These things just don't happen. There are usually a starting point to everything. There is a starting point to everything that happens. So go to the root, find out why. Things in childhood, what trauma did you go through? Start examining it from there. If you need to, go get help, go to therapy, speak to somebody again that you trust with yourself, and really lay it out. And because I'm a Christian, and my last point will be to pray about it, take it to the Lord and say, this is what I'm dealing with right now. I have a controlling nature within me and I don't like it. And you'd be surprised at the things he will reveal and surprised at the things that he can remove. So I hope this was helpful. Speak to you guys soon.